Hello, everybody. How are you? We're just about to start the webinar about the trends that we're observing. My name is Emmy. I am the User Experience Director for Globant. And we're very proud to be in this webinar with Cindy. She is a creative director and is an awesome designer. Cindy, do you want to introduce yourself for just a second?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Cindy. I'm working with the Consumer Technologies Group within Flextronics, based in the Bay Area. I am leading the experience design team at Flextronics, and what we do is we work with our customers in the connected living space, looking at wearables and how do they play a role in our daily life, whether that's in the car or at home or in the retail space.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you, everybody, for attending the webinar. We're extremely proud to be talking about this. We know that looking at trends is a very important behavior from every company, and we here at Globant, as well with Flextronics, we are very proud to be talking with you about the trends that we see in consumer behavior and how that shapes the way that we interact with our users and how we think about new products and new projects. First of all, I want to kind of give a little introduction about who we are in Globant and what we do. We are a global company. We create software, very innovative software for our clients, and we are organized in many different studios, in 10 different studios that provide value to different verticals and different technologies, such as the gaming studio and the mobile studio and the user experience studio as well. So we're very proud of being talking today about this. And today in particular, we wanted to talk about one initiative that we have within Globant. We are creating and we are launching what we call the Sentinel report. The Sentinel report is a report that we in Globant are going to be delivering every quarter with insightful evidence of consumer behavior and market trends that ignites our strategic thinking. We know that in order to create better products and in order to engage with our clients and with our consumers in a relevant way, we need to observe how the market is behaving, how the consumers are changing the way they interact with products, and how new services are coming up and how they create new ecosystems. So the goal of this report is to, in a way, consolidate this information and make it available both internally in Globant and externally to the world in order to show everybody what is going on in the digital world and how those relationships are changing. We know that this is extremely important, and we're very happy to be sharing this with you. And since this, is the end of the year, and we kind of tend to be a bit more revisionist at this point of the year, we would like to share with you what we've seen so far in 2014 and what we know what's going to happen during the next year. This is the first iteration of the Sentinel report, and we're going to have one report every quarter. So I really encourage you to keep an eye on this report and to consume it and to share it with your colleagues and internally in your teams as well. So this report has 5 or 4 big sections. As I was saying, the frequency of the report is going to be 1 per Q. There are going to be 4 reports a year, and of course, the last report of the year is going to be the more deep into what happened the whole last year and what's going to happen the next year. The first section that we have in this report, and the first thing that we're going to see, statements. These are the metrics are a way of showing in numbers and in different contrasts how the different aspects of the market and consumers are changing based on how they acquire different platforms or how they consume different things. And the statements are different results of research and analysis from many agencies. And today we're going to show you just a summary, just a brief snippet of those things, and later you can have the full report for you. Then we have the trend sections, where we highlight some very important consumer behavior trends that we see are shaping the way that we interact with our consumers, with our clients, and with products. And then we have industry updates, when we actually take a look at some important industries that we have strong bonds and strong relationship with, and we see what interesting success cases are going on there, and how that, in a way, ignites our strategic thinking. And at the end, we have some actions to take. We understand that all this information is important, but it needs some actions for us to change the way that we approach things. So without any further ado, we're gonna go into the metrics and statements. We really understand when we will kind of building these statements, we thought that it was really relevant to put some context around what we were talking. And in this demographic highlights, it kind of shows in a way that the world population, the active internet users, the active social media accounts, and the number of users that are actively growing and growing to use more mobile devices, to be more active in social accounts. This is something that is definitely showing us how the way that the consumers are going from one more passive behavior to a more active behavior. Yeah. Social network has become extremely active and extremely, in a way, important in the way that the social arena has been changing in the last few years. And we decided to include this metric in a way because we know that in many social events in our lives in this past year, there certainly has been many political events and sports events. The social network has had a huge participation, and it has been huge not only for socially or maybe for, in a way, for political aspects, but also for commercial aspects. And it's extremely important how to what different platforms are consuming different users. And in this graphic, for example, you can see there's one aspect of this that is extremely interesting. The average number of fans for the top 20 brands, for example, in Facebook, they have 40 million or 15 million fans. But the average number of posts for the top 20 brands, it shows that with less posts in Facebook, you get much more users. And Twitter, in the same way, to reach a higher level of users, you need to get much more posts. We talked about how users actually consume those social platforms, and the same happens with YouTube. These are the top 5 brands in Facebook compared to the top 5 brands on Twitter, and the number of users that they have. And these are the different industries and a summary of fans per industry, which is extremely interesting to see how they behave. In particular, in the World Cup in 2014, there was a huge invasion of behavior through Twitter accounts and through Facebook accounts, and to see how they were, how the whole world was actually highlighting different aspects of the behavior. I encourage you to later take a look at this particular section of the report and see this video, and how both Twitter and Facebook highlight how they were impacted in their infrastructure, in the way that the users were commenting and talking about the World Cup. This graphic shows how the iOS and Android growth in the market by the different platforms and by the different geographies as well. It's definitely very interesting to see how iOS was taking place, and how the Android and the distribution of different types of platforms and operating system was taking place. This is a progression that we've done based on different analysis on forecasts of 2015 and 16, 17, and 18 on how that adoption is going to be. We have even further analysis on different resources and different sources, so please let it take a look. And we decided to include this particular part in the report. We've seen that the Internet of Things and wearable computing has been growing tremendously in 2014. Well, one very interesting thing is this table that you see here, the wearable computing device shipments by category in millions. how it was in 2013, how it is in 2014, and how it's forecast to be in 2015. The growth in the different areas or the different, in a way, sections is tremendous, and it brings a lot of new opportunities for sports and activity trackers, for wearable 3D motions, and definitely for smart clothing. So there's a lot of opportunities in new business, and definitely a lot of opportunities on how to engage in new ways with our clients and propose new projects and new ways of thinking. Now, there's a few statements that we believe are very important to kind of shape the way that we think our users are behaving. This one is really interesting. 89% of travelers begin a travel activity on one device and continue it on another, which really means that we cannot think about one experience through exclusively one device or without considering other devices, since that behavior is already very deep into the day-by-day activity of every user. In particular, in travel, we've seen that many companies have chosen to go into native or exclusively mobile or things like that. But in further research, it shows time after time that the ability to give the users some sort of flexibility and control over where they make the final decision, how they do the research, and how they take the planning of their trip is highly important. I'm sorry. 90% of multiple device owners switch between screens to complete a task, and this goes beyond the travel industry. It just goes to particularly any task that we do. It's quite important that in the growing industry, and when we have even more devices at hand, it's important that we start thinking about ecosystems and not exclusively about a deploy on a particular device and how those different environments talk to each other. 34% of app users have upgraded from a free app to a paid version, making this the most widely experienced business model. This has grown tremendously, particularly in the past quarter, with a lot of push from different digital markets, such as the App Store and the Google Play Store, and it has grown a lot from the different interaction patterns that the operating system have allowed. So when we actually create a mobile application, we need to be very smart on what type of features we allow and how we allow them, and how we create that service to in a way take advantage of the new business models, but in a way don't block our users from a consistent experience. Now we want to highlight just a few trends that we see that are very, very important and very relevant to our users. The first that we want to highlight is what we call Betterment. Because now the Betterment is this, in a way, this very intense need from every user to measure and see the progress on the activities that they do. This goes beyond. I think that the easiest way to think about it is sports, and we've all been engaged with different tracking devices when we run or when we do different activities, but it goes a little bit beyond that. It's the need for users to measure and see evolution on activities that they have, either how many emails I write per day, or how many conversations I have, or how's my bank account, and how to visualize that information in order to get better and more efficient and more effective at what we do. It's a behavior that we all have as human beings. It's part of our, in a way, our cognitive structure, but it is also a huge trend that we see is being enabled for different aspects of technology. We see that definitely this trend is powered by digital innovation and recent adoption of wearables. Wearables has been a huge help on shaping this behavior in a way. Liquidity of social connections and different aspects of ways of contacting with other people, and democratization of knowledge and skills has definitely been important. This is a very strong trend, and we see this in many aspects of of the production of new products. And we want to show or to highlight just a few cases that we see. Of course, you'll be able to have this report and dig into this and into these cases more. But for example, Pollet has developed a smart shirt that automatically tracks sports performance. And of course, we've seen different tracking devices and now with wearables, we know that there's the possibility to add sensors to almost anything, and of course, Cindy will be able to talk a bit more about that. But I thought it was we thought that it was very relevant for Polo to go such a strong fashion brand to go into this and to position themselves as a more intelligent, in a way, aware of how their consumers are using their brand and what they need in this particular trend, and to get better at something in particular. And I like the M-Cube from our technology perspective as well. There are these very tiny accelerometers that facilitate Internet of Things. The technology in this area is moving extremely fast, guys, and now the possibility to add sensors and different types of sensors to almost anything is so tangible and is so real, and to track not only how we perform in sports, but what we do with different elements, such as with our cars, or even how to help people to stop smoking, like the CBT campaign that you see there. Or even how to track our performance in conversation and even in empathy and different social aspects. The Betterment trend, and what is very important to see, is that consumers are looking to get better at different aspects of the day-by-day life, and it's part of the brand's opportunity to identify what are those areas of improvement and how we can engage with them to make them better. When we talk about a particular trend, we like to finish the conversation of a trend with a question. In this case, we want to ask, how would you motivate consumers to become experts in their field based on your point of view? Cindy, would you like to comment on, based on your experience, on how you guys see this trend coming very strong in the wearables world?
Right. So what all of us have seen lately is a lot of fitness trackers. And the form factor in fitness trackers is a band on your wrist. So what we're seeing is a multifunctional device on your wrist that moves to a more directional function. So there's one or two features that are basically speaking to that user. Maybe it's really about their heart rate, or maybe it's really about their temperature of their skin, and how that makes them a better person, how that makes them a more healthier person in an environment. We're also seeing the form factor and the style of that change from a silicon-based wrist that may be only stylistic to a certain consumer, but moving to a more descriptive of their own personal style. So more fashionable, for example, something that looks more like a piece of jewelry as opposed to a silicone on your wrist. So that's how we're seeing things are moving in terms of health and wellness.
Definitely. Thank you, Cindy. And I think it ties extremely well with this. I mean, this is the trend. Ubitech is the expectations from the user to have technology embedded in almost every aspect of our lives, not in an intrusive way, but in a seamless way, to interact with an enhanced, in a way, array of elements that can provide feedback in a more smart way, that can provide interaction in a more smart way. And this trend is, of course, is powered by the strong development in technology that we've seen in the past few years. Immersive technologies, texted use, and cashless consumers, this is a big one, and big data and cloud storage, the ability to manipulate big amounts of data and information and to translate that into, in a way, relatable and relevant information is definitely big. In the summary sheet, some things that we also chose to add is some brands that are currently actively exploring this trend. In this case, we can see Nike is doing things, Google, Unilever, Levi, and different other brands. And we understand that this is very important to put ourselves in the actual context of this trend and how this is changing the world scene. But this particular trend is seriously changing the way that we interact. I think one beautiful example, and I'm going to play this while I speak, but one beautiful example is I don't know if you guys have seen, but the Amazon Dash is a handheld Wi-Fi connected device designed to simplify grocery purchasing. And what Amazon did is just create this product, this physical product that you have in your house. And whenever you want to buy something or you just finish the product, you can either talk to it or you can scan the code bar, and that will automatically add that particular product to your card, your Amazon card, and they will deliver it to your house. So having those types of experiences immersed in your day-by-day through technology, that's very rapidly actually becoming an expectations from our users. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a physical product such as the Amazon Dash. For example, ASAP 5054 here created a visual recognition technology that matches garments images with actual products. So the idea is that you're walking on the street and you see this girl with a beautiful skirt, and with your phone you kind of scan that, and it tells you what type of skirt it is, where you can get it, and different aspects that in a way facilitate a whole new layer of experiences. This is a lot of it is driven by end consumers and and retail in this particular aspect, but it goes beyond the retail industry, and it's starting to be everywhere. And we cannot stretch enough how this expectations from consumers is really going to change the way that we behave with almost everything. I think one quite funny is that this particular coffee brand, and I'm going to say coffee brand because I'm not sure how to pronounce this, is they unveil a Yon-activated airport ad campaign. The people that are nearby, this in a way, this intervention in the airport, and the Yon, the system kind of detects that activity, and they provide coffee to them, is definitely to create brand identity and to provide some sort of recognition from the brand. But it's extremely smart and very easy to use this technology and to, in a way, interact and intervene in the way that consumers behave day by day. Oh, sorry. That was me, sorry. And I think that as an end question for the UV Tech, we were constantly wondering and asking ourselves, how would you create an ecosystem of ubiquitous technology for your users? Again, in the report, you'll find many different cases, such as the one that is up on the left of the bra. It was a campaign for breast cancer awareness, and whenever the woman unhooked the bra, it tweeted something to be more aware of that. We have many different cases that kind of will help you ignite your strategic thinking and how you can create an ecosystem. But the key in this is to start thinking about an ecosystem of ubiquitous technology and not just different deploys of products. Cindy, would you like to comment on this?
Right, so we're seeing that happening right now. I'm actually calling in from New York, and the goal for me here is to see what's happening in the fashion and beauty space. I will be visiting the Rebecca Minkoff store, and they are putting this into place right now, where as soon as you walk into the retail store, you are greeted with a large screen where you can browse through all of their products and choose ones you'd like to have sent to your dressing room. And they would be waiting for you once you're done browsing. Once you're in the dressing room, you can try on your clothing, just take a picture of it, send it to your friends, or even have it saved to an account. And you will even monitor which items you tried on but did not purchase, and perhaps even how long you had that type of clothing on in the dressing room. If you're looking for a different size, for example, no need to pop your head out of the room looking for a salesperson, and hopefully that will catch you. You can actually ask for a different size while you're in that dressing room. So it's really driving the experience from the online shopping world to the in-store brick-and-mortar world. They're trying to get, brands are trying to get consumers back into the store to really experience their brand again. So it's not something that's far in the future. It's happening right now. And definitely we'll be sharing that information with Emiliano and his team. So yeah, things are happening very
quickly. I think it's extremely, yeah, I think it's extremely exciting. And as you said, Cindy, it's not in the near future. It's today, and it's spreading. So we need to be really aware, and we need to know that technology is here already, and we just need to start thinking on how to engage with our consumers in that way, and not wait for something else to trigger that. It's us who can trigger that. Okay. The next trend that we wanted to share with you is local love. Local love is something that has happened recently, in particular in this year, and it's kind of the power that the local aspects of the experiences bring to the brands, and how they actually engage with consumers through things that are happening exclusively in that place and that part of the world, and how they basically take advantage of the behaviors of different local parts of the world. I think there's a very good, simple example with Sound of Street Views. It's a project where Google Maps features the site-specific sound of experiences. They launched in August. This site that you can go. It's called Sounds of Street View, and you can actually browse through street views, but there will be sounds specific to that particular square or church or whatever you go. And then there are many other experiences and success cases that kind of, in a way, take advantage of their local experiences, such as Google Now notifications, on geo-targeted mobile ads, or geo-lighting in-store smart LED slide function as iBeacons, and different things that, in a way, take a little bit of the culture of the local geography, neighborhood, or whatever, to, in a way, make the user or the consumer feel unique, and to highlight different aspects of that experience. We truly think that this trend is challenging, because it means that you really need to have some sort of deep knowledge of how your consumers are behaving and how they're behaving. But I think it's extremely strong to build engaging relationships. And just for the sake of time, I'm going to jump to the next one and then go right ahead to the industry updates. Playsimers is a fabulous trend that we've seen with very smart brands that are taking the relationship with the consumers in a more adventurous way. This is a trend that for some users that do not want to engage with brand in just a simple way, but they want to add some aspects of gamification to the way that they interact. We will remember the different Red Bull experiences of jumping through many different things, and how they kind of experience different aspects of the brand. But these are a few examples of that. One that really drew my attention was the Reebok Forever, the sports brand, challenge fans to get logo tattoos, which is definitely extreme, but very aligned to what their brand message: pain is temporary, Reebok is forever. I think it was a very bold move from their side, and it goes definitely into one extreme. But on the other hand, something very simple is Google Chrome, for example. Google's browser includes hidden offline game, different aspects that make the interaction with the brand and the products of the brand a little bit more fun, and it adds a little flavor to it. The important thing is that we start thinking about these aspects of the interaction as part of the experience and not as add-ons, not as things that, well, maybe in the next iteration we're going to do. No, it's part of the whole experience. It's part of what makes the success of the experience, and not just as something that you can take out. You know, there are many different aspects of many different cases on this trend. Even in the financial industry, Alpha Bank incentivized exercise with higher interest rates, which I think is awesome, to be honest. And you'll see these cases throughout the different industries. And I think one good question to ask ourselves is, how would you attract consumers by gamifying new experiences? With the product that you have already, with the services that you have already, how would you reshape that in a way that would attract them to have a little fun with the product that you do? It doesn't have any constraints. There's no need. It doesn't matter if you're in the retail or in the financial industry. There's always a way to play with this behavior. And jumping into industry updates, we want to do a little focus and highlights to some industries that we see new behavior, or some cases that we think are very relevant. In the case of the banking and finance industry, I think that most people think that it's, you know, too traditional, and it's in a way that it doesn't have much room for exploration with users. But the banking and the finance industry has proven time after time that they are in a mission to change the way that they are, in a way, building relationships with the client. One huge trend that we've seen, and that we are definitely going to keep seeing in the next year, is the way that they integrate payment methods. And they're really pushing for more seamless ways to pay, and for more, in a way, even elegant ways to pay. But some banks have been smart enough to create even fun ways to pay, and even fun ways to measure your evolution, your financial evolution, and to make decisions on evolution. So the financial industry, I think, that is going a long way into creating new behaviors, new relationships with the client, and I think it's something that we'll definitely need to keep a look at in the next year, and think about how we can implement these trends within the financial industry, because there are many big opportunities. Retail industry, of course, is one. And you know what, Cindy, when you were talking about that example, I was thinking about this one, the fitting room device gives customer instant feedback from friends, and I think it's extremely fun that we're going that way. Would you like to comment a little bit more on how you see the retail industry evolving with these trends?
Right. So with both. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that. It's just one element, one touch point really of the whole retail experience. I know Rebecca Minkoff is looking at a store in California that mimics what she's doing here in New York. But ultimately, it's not just about sharing, but also how do you create the dreaded dressing room experience a bit more pleasurable. I think a lot of the women on this call will understand what I mean by that. Oftentimes we go and we browse and not knowing whether or not it will actually fit us. But what's really great is that stores or brands like Rebecca Minkoff are not just looking at, okay, so she didn't buy it, so what? It's identifying, okay, well, she didn't buy it. There's got to be something wrong with the actual product. If 1,000 women do not buy that sweater, is it the color? Is it the material? Is it the size? Is it the fit? And they will reach out to consumers and say, hey, you know, we'd like to hear your feedback. And how can we improve our brand? How can we improve our product line so that you will come in and, you know, buy a sweater or whatnot? So it's really a give and take. And I think that leads to one of the trends you talked about later on, is about what can consumers give up or give to a brand in order to create a more engaging experience.
Actually, by this, I think that we see a lot of experiences. Am I mute? No, I think I'm okay. A lot of experiences within the stores and also within online. So we should definitely keep up with that and keep thinking about how we intervene with our consumers in this way. The other industry that we believe is extremely relevant and is going through major changes is the travel and transport industry. We've seen hotels and airlines and different commerce around the travel and transport industry really shaping their behavior into new services and new products. I think one of the Aloft Hotel had deployed the first robot butler, which I think, you know, it's out there and it's truly innovative. But in a way, it also talks about the big possibilities that the technology now is bringing. I really encourage you guys to take a look at this case in particular. It definitely has a few interesting notes there. But you'll see in the travel and transport industry in all the past year, a lot of changes in the way that they interact with the consumers. And one other thing is that all those aspects of local law, maybe in UBTech and placemers are very present in the travel and transport industry. And I think that our clients, and I think that in the way that we think new services and products, we need to be very aware on how to make experiences a bit more fun for the traveler and how to make experience a bit more seamless throughout throughout the whole customer journey, and be aware of how to intervene in a way in the right point of the customer journey. And of course, the automotive industry is going through major changes. Mercedes-Benz has announced an in-car integration with Nest. Nest is a huge device for homes, and they're doing integrations with car and different aspects of the home as well to kind of make a seamless experience. I really like the plug-in device and the car connection. The plug-in device provides easy access to vehicle data in a way to kind of show the user. Let me see if I can play a little bit of this. Show the user how to get different information, kind of in a way mixing the consumer trend with the Betterment trend, and how to become more efficient in the way that we consume something or in the way that we behave with a particular product or service. And in the health industry, I think that the health industry has just started going through many different trends, but I think that 2015 is going to be huge. We truly believe that it's going to be huge for the health industry in the way that they not only approach consumer trends, but how they really impact the way that the patients go through the different parts of the process, or the bureaucratic process, or how they make the patients feel more comfortable with their diagnosis, and how they make the doctor-patient relationship even more seamless throughout technology and throughout visualization of information, and throughout even making the whole experience a bit more fun. Again, these trends are not within one particular industry, and they're not within one particular aspect of technology. They're everywhere. So even in the health industry, we need to really be aware of how we can connect with our users and with the patients in this case to make the experience a bit more enjoyable. Cindy, would you like to comment on any of these other industries?
I mean, they're really, ultimately, when it comes to health, there's a lot of aspects here. A lot concerns about privacy, for example, is a huge thing. How do doctors play in this role? How do insurance companies play a role in this industry? But ultimately, it really needs to be up to the consumer. And a lot of the things that we're seeing right now in terms of health and wellness, again, it's still very clinical in look and feel. So how do we make that, again, a better experience? And how do we make it more than just monitoring? how can we give the action back to the consumer so that they can identify, well, you know, if I don't do this or I don't do that, I may have a higher risk of heart problems in the future, for example. And so that is what we're seeing happening in health. It's not just about making a better sensor or more sensors, but it's really about how do we use that data in a more meaningful and engaging way.
Yeah. So to finish, we wanted to share with you two particular actions that we think are really important. The first one is just a highlight, and you'll see more detail in further reports and further communications that you can have with us and with Cindy and the whole team of Flextronics as well, is that there are some world events that are going to happen soon in the next Q and certainly in the next year that are very important for new opportunities that we can engage. And I think these are the easiest way that we can in a way think of new ways to engage with our users, such as events big as the Super Bowl or events in the cloud computing area, or maybe political elections and things like that, are events that everybody will be focusing with big intensity, and that we need to be aware and think from the brand perspective, from our brand perspective, how we can shape this consumer behaviors and in a way empower those events through those trends, and how we can use the technology and make a better experience in the Super Bowl, in European games, and different aspects of the events. So keep up with events that are going in the world. Don't take a look at what's going on in your country, in your geography, but take a look at what's going on in the world as well. As part of the report, there's some specific sections when we talk about how different events have shaped the digital world in a way, and it's extremely important to be aware of how the Super Bowl in February is going to revolutionize social networks again, and how different brands are acting in the digital world, so we need to be aware of that. And the other action that we need to take, we know that this needs deeper analysis from a specialized team. We have what we call the Sentinel team, which is a team that specializes in trends and market research. And what we do is working sessions it's a 2-hour working session into kind of the fun goals and directions, and kind of understand the context of the particular brand and the account and the challenge. And then we need to do some analysis and some insight and see how the market is evolving, how the consumer is evolving in that particular context, and then we detect new opportunities and how to engage with our consumers and with our clients. So we really encourage you to pay attention to the trends, the consumer trends that are going on around you. We really encourage you to take a look at this report and to take a look at the different consumer behaviors and the different market trends that are going on, and to schedule particular working sessions to gather and to get some more actions with your accounts. Okay, so it's been a pleasure, guys. Cindy, thank you very much for your time. Today was, as always, it was extremely valuable, okay? And we're gonna go for questions and answers time now. So the questions are open. You can write your questions on the chat, and we'll be reading them right now and answering them right now. So the first question is, the trends were from trend watching, right? So yeah, the source from the different trends and the different consumer behavior trends are from actually we gather from different databases. One is trend watching, which I really encourage you to explore. It's extremely interesting. They have a very deep database, and they categorize different trends in a very simple way. But it's not, it shouldn't, like we always say, it shouldn't be the only source from where you get trends. We have other databases such as Google Think and 4 other more databases when we feed ourselves from from these trends. And we also have a team, what we call the Sentinel team, of trend spotters going around and looking at different ways to how the consumers are behaving and consolidating that into more formal information. So thank you, Elaine, for that question. And Andres is asking, how do you see the trends in financial sector and the mobile evolution on it? Is it only oriented to payments? Thank you. Well, certainly the payment behavior in a way is going to be strong, very strong. In 2015, I think we will not be able to take the focus off that because that is certainly changing the way that the consumers are going to interact with everything. So that's definitely going to be strong, and I don't think that there will be another trend as strong as that in the financial industry next year. But having said that, what we've been seeing is that the financial industry is not only doing a lot of effort into simplifying that process, but they're also making a lot of effort into two basic areas. One is this, in a way, the socialization of the consumer behavior into how to empower the social behavior within their customers, how to validate one another on behavior, how to validate their activities and things like that in order to gather, in a way, references for credits or things like that. And the other aspect of it is that they're making a lot of effort as well into the visualization of information and how they display that information or the vast amount of information that they have from behavior and activity. So I think that even though the cashless payment process is going to be huge, I think visualization of information and the socialization is going to be huge as well in the financial industry. Let me see the next one. What are the platforms that will offer the most interesting new opportunities for software app developers? You mean, I hope that you mean different types of sensors and things like that, or to Android and to different types of platforms, I hope. And maybe, Cindy, would you like to comment on that? And what are the different aspects of the platforms that will enable software developments to interact with consumers through wearables?
So software, we do have a small software team within our company. I'm not quite sure what Stephen's referring to when it comes to platforms. Is it sensors? Is that what he's referring to, or?
Let me see if he's having something else. Steve?
More of hardware platforms, or?
Watches, payments, sensors. Yeah, I think it's a broad question in this case. Yeah.
Okay. So going back to Andreas's thought about financial, definitely, if it's not just about payment, again, like you were saying, I mean, it's really about visualization as well. Mint has been the first one, I think, in the space, looking at a different way of visualizing your money. But also, how do you make that banking experience more enjoyable? Not everybody likes banking. Not everybody likes checking their money or lack of money, or as your money is coming out of your bank account. Is there a better way for you to identify where to invest? How about buying and selling stocks, for example? That's something that we're seeing, even though Flex is not in the software space as much as Globant is. We are seeing that as a trend. Watches and sensors. So sensors, again, we are seeing smaller sensors. We are seeing, like the MQ, for example. We're not seeing a lot of products putting, let's say, 100 sensors into one product. There are 100, but they're not putting multiple sensors. They're putting one or two to give a very clear proposition. That's in the forward future. At the moment, what's trending in the future is the idea that the more sensors, the better. There is some discussion in regards to whether or not that actually is true. Take a look at TVs, smart TVs, for example. You might choose the TV that has the one extra feature compared to the one next to it. So we are seeing that at the moment. However, again, there is that trend to being a more directive proposition. watches, again, we manufacture about 80% of the wearable smartwatches in the world right now, and they are leaning towards a more fashion-focused form factor.
Yeah.
That's what we're seeing at the moment. So for software app developers, definitely, I think there's so much opportunity out there to develop an app for a variety of functions. There definitely is that trend.
Yeah. Thank you, Cindy. And thank you, Stephen, for the question. So Michael asks, most trends included in today's presentation are imposed by big companies. How much room do you think there is in this area for individual entrepreneurs? I think there's a lot of room, and more so because the actual technology that enables trends is becoming it's certainly expertise and knowledge from developers and engineers, but it's becoming as we were talking, very ubiquitous and very easy to access. So I think it's not necessarily a matter of size of the company, and later in the report you'll see much more examples of even unknown brands, not only in the US but in Europe as well. I think it's not necessarily a matter of resources, it's a matter of understanding consumer behavior and then how you can approach it, because you can certainly approach it from a wearable perspective, or you can approach it from a marketing perspective, or you can approach it from an e-commerce perspective. So it's a matter of understanding the consumer trend or the consumer behavior and doing something about it. So yeah, definitely, there's a lot. And there's one more from Cesar. Could you tell me what are some of the roles that you have in this practice, the less common than analytics specialists, marketers, or psychologists? So yes, and within the market research or the consumer behavior or observation, in a way, we have a lot of what's called service designer, or actually, they would kill me if I say this, but actually the right name is service product system designer. It's much larger. These designers are focused on the actual relationship between the brand and the consumer, and how those services enable different products. We also have some industrial designers in this team that I really love the type of thinking that they bring, and of course, we have some experienced designers and kind of observing how the ecosystem of these products are. And we have big data specialists as well collaborating within the team to kind of see it from different perspectives. And we have collaborations from architects and different parts of the organization, but certainly the core is service designers, experience designers, and industrial designers.
Could I answer to that
question? And one, yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
Sorry, to Miguel. Yes, some of the trends you're seeing are impulsed by big companies, but ultimately they're following the lead of startups. It's really the voice of the consumer, and a lot of brands aren't comfortable with that. They used to be the ones who are leading or setting the trend. I think brands, especially fashion brands, are looking to startups to see, okay, what's happening, what attachment rate is there, and how do they get into the space? So absolutely, there's lots of room for individual entrepreneurs.
Definitely, definitely. And the last question from Maya is, do you believe that all the great things and potential that technology brings to enhance our lifestyle could be harnessed, is that right? Harnessed by people all around anytime soon? So I'm thinking that maybe you're talking about people who don't have necessarily access to the technology right away. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Maya. But we truly think that one of the most hopeful things about these trends or the observation of this behavior is that you actually can spot actual behavior from, and I even though consumer is a big word, I like to talk about users, because there's behavior beyond consuming something, and when you then you are able, in a way, impact or modify the behavior through technology and through design principles, and that the behaviors have an impact on different demographics and different adults, and even people who don't have access to technology. And even with the technology being even cheaper and cheaper and more accessible to everybody, I truly believe that observing behavior and designing for that behavior and being enabled by technology helps us, in a way, reach to many different groups of people and help different aspects of the behavior. And you say, in my day today, I noticed that technology could help a lot, and it's not yet just, I totally agree. And I think it's up to us, to be completely honest. I think that technology is not being used in all of the places that it could be used, but it's up to us. We as designers, we as developers, we as engineers, we are the people who are ready. We are ready, and we should be able to do this, to spot these behaviors and to change the way that we're engaging with users. Right. And I think that was it. I don't know, Cindy, I think there's one more question, and you can take it. Would you like to take the question from Rubens, the pharmaceutical industry? Yeah.
Right. So the medical department within the medical division within Flextronics has been working quite a bit on personal devices. So things like the insulin patch, for example, and the sleep apnea device that's actually implanted into your body. We're seeing that as individual contributors. There really hasn't been a common playground because it takes so long to get approval through medical regulations. So on the medical side, things are moving. It's that there's no real common playground or no common ground at the moment for everyone to come on board with. Definitely believe it's going to happen sooner or later. Again, there's an issue about doctors and the how do they play in this role, insurance companies, how do they play a role here, and the data that is being gathered. Who has the right or the expertise to identify potential health problems? Can you diagnose yourself, in other words, with all that data? So definitely is happening. This will take some time because of regulations that we all have to adhere to in order to have a service or a product out in the market. Federico, I think you had a question in regards to virtual reality glasses. We are seeing that as a trend. It's more on the gaming side. When it comes to Google Glass and other glass-like or other virtual reality glasses or headwear, we're seeing that trend move into the industrial side of things. So factory workers, those who are working in large areas that need to have their hands free and will benefit greatly from having the information sent to them when needed. That's where we're seeing Google Glass or eyewear, headwear, very much is like that moving towards. And we are speaking with a couple of partners that are looking at how do we integrate that kind of technology into the actual wear, so the actual apparel for people who are working in high, I would say, very dangerous situations, for example.
And I would add to that, I think that it's important to understand that the behavior, the consumer behavior and the user behavior are actually the drivers, and the technology is an enabler in a way. The technology itself should not be considered as a behavior in a way, because today, as Cindy was saying, the glass technology is moving towards a particular industry, but that's not the behavior itself. You know, that particular technology is being used for a particular behavior in there, and what we really need to be aware of is what are the behaviors on the users? How are they interacting with one another? How are they interacting with different brands? And how that technology can empower or enhance that behavior in a way. And for that, I think we're with the glass technology and with many new technologies, we're going to see a shift from one industry to the other based on the behaviors that we can spot from the consumers. So everybody, thank you very much for coming to this conversation. We truly believe that this type of conversation ignited strategic thinking, and we wanted to do so within our organization and within everybody's, within your clients, within your project in particular. And we really encourage you to think about these behaviors and to look around and to think on how you can become more aware of that and how you can, in a way, interact with the consumers through the way that they behave. We encourage you also to become a sentinel if you want. If you're an active observer of technology, consumer behavior, and market trends, you can become one. You can send either industry updates, metrics, or whatever you see around to sentinel@globant.com. Or if you spot something somewhere, you can tweet and add #Globant Sentinel and hashtag Globant Sentinel, and we'll definitely get it. And you can also follow us at Globant Sentinel. And Cindy, thank you very much for your participation. As all valuable and interesting what you guys are doing, and we're really looking forward to have more conversations together. Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everybody. You're welcome. Thank you, everybody, and we'll talk soon. Have a good day.